Welcome back to Radio 1 International. Harris Dickinson's journey to international recognition is not the tale of overnight stardom, nor is it one driven purely by ambition. Instead, it is marked by reflection, hardship, quiet resilience, and a commitment to authenticity that has shaped not only his acting choices but now his work as a director. His debut feature film Urchin premiered at the 2025 Cannes Film Festival, solidifying him as more than just a rising star in front of a camera, but a deeply intuitive and socially conscious filmmaker behind it. Raised in Leytonstone, East London, Harris Dickinson grew up in a working-class household that instilled in him both grit and humility. His mother, a hairdresser, managed to support the family by transforming their kitchen into a salon. Dickinson has spoken candidly about the realities of growing up in an environment where crime was common, cars were stolen, houses broken into, and daily life was sometimes precarious. A particular memory he once shared involved a bank robber holding a gun to his mother's head during a robbery. These formative experiences, far from creating a sense of fear, bred in him a deep awareness of struggle, the unpredictability of life, and an interest in human complexity, themes that would later resurface in his creative work. School was not a nurturing environment for Dickinson. Although he studied film and theater, by the time he was 17, he had dropped out. Lost and unsure of his future, he considered joining the Royal Marines. The decision seemed like a reasonable path at the time, structured, dependable, and far from the uncertainty of the creative world. But fate intervened. A coach at London's Raw Academy, who recognized his potential, convinced him to return to acting and give performance one last shot. That turning point marked the beginning of a journey that would eventually lead him to international acclaim. In his early years, Dickinson worked several odd jobs, teaching children, serving in cafes, catering gigs, and even some production assistant work behind the camera. This grounding in various aspects of life and film production gave him a uniquely comprehensive perspective on the industry. He wasn't someone who had simply been discovered. He had walked into it from the ground up, bringing along a reservoir of lived experience and a perspective rooted in the real world. His breakout role came in 2017 with the film Beach Rats, directed by Eliza Hittman. Dickinson played Frankie, a troubled Brooklyn teenager grappling with his identity in a hyper-masculine environment. The role demanded nuance and vulnerability, which Dickinson delivered in abundance. His portrayal was met with critical acclaim, earning him a nomination for Best Male Lead at the Independent Spirit Awards. More importantly, the performance established him as a performer unafraid to explore emotional depth, complexity, and discomfort, qualities that would become hallmarks of his artistic style. The success of Beach Rats led to a diverse string of roles. In Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, he stepped into the world of big-budget fantasy, playing Prince Philip alongside Angelina Jolie. In The King's Man, a prequel to the Kingsman franchise, he portrayed a young hero navigating war and espionage. Each role added a new layer to his evolving on-screen persona: the sensitivity of Beach Rats, the romantic charm of Maleficent, the physicality and period flair of The King's Man. That performance brought him back to the Cannes spotlight, not just as a participant, but as a significant presence in contemporary cinema. Yet even as his acting career blossomed, Dickinson harbored a deep desire to tell his own stories. He began working on what would become Urchin, a film born not from a desire to impress, but from a visceral, almost intuitive need to explore the lives of those society often overlooks. Dickinson spent time volunteering with homeless charities in London, meeting people who had been through the margins of society, rough sleepers, recovering addicts, and those discarded by the system. These encounters didn't just inspire the script, they became its emotional backbone. Urchin is a film about Mike, a homeless man in London, played by Frank Delane. But it's not a film that exploits suffering or dramatizes addiction for cinematic value. Instead, Dickinson paints a layered portrait of someone trying to escape a cycle of self-destruction while confronting the structural and emotional weight of his past. It's a story that moves through realism and occasional surrealism, a visual and emotional landscape that mirrors the instability of life on the streets. He had no formal training as a filmmaker and relied on instinct, observation, and a deep respect for the characters he was portraying. Every creative choice in Urchin reflects this, from the stark cinematography that captures London's cold, grey streets to the spare, elliptical dialogue that echoes the quiet isolation of its protagonist. The critical response to Urchin has been overwhelmingly positive. Critics have praised its authenticity, emotional richness, and the way it subverts common narratives about homelessness. Rather than focusing on redemption arcs or dramatic downfalls, the film is more interested in the messy, non-linear journey of survival. Dickinson's direction has been called confident, sensitive, and unusually mature for a debut. His background as an actor seems to have given him a strong sense of pacing, atmosphere, and emotional calibration, all of which shine through in the film's most intimate moments. Frank Delane's performance has also been singled out for praise, and Dickinson is quick to credit his cast and crew. His collaborative spirit and humility are evident. In interviews, he often shifts attention away from himself and toward the community of people who helped bring Urchin to life. This lack of ego is rare, especially in an industry where auteur narratives often dominate. For Dickinson, storytelling is clearly not about control but about service, serving the characters, the community, and the audience. Parallel to his directorial efforts, Dickinson continues to build a rich and varied acting portfolio. He is set to portray John Lennon in one of 4 upcoming Beatles biopics, directed by Sam Mendes. Dickinson's choice for this role is telling. Lennon, a complex figure of contradiction, idealism, and insecurity, fits Dickinson's attraction to layered, introspective characters. It's another challenge, and one that promises to push his range even further. What sets Harris Dickinson apart from many of his contemporaries is the dual commitment to craft and content. He is not driven solely by aesthetics or performance, but by meaning, by what a story is saying and who it is for. His work, both as an actor and now as a director, continually gravitates toward characters and communities who are struggling, vulnerable, or overlooked. He doesn't seek to glamorize them, but to understand them, to reflect them with integrity and dignity. It's worth noting how rare it is for someone in their 20s to make such a quiet yet powerful impact in both acting and directing. Dickinson isn't chasing fame or branding. There's no social media performance, no curated persona. His public presence is often understated, and interviews reveal someone who is thoughtful, introverted, and intensely reflective. This clarity of purpose, this idea that storytelling should be about listening, not declaring, is perhaps why his work resonates so deeply. As his career continues to unfold, one senses that Dickinson's best work still lies ahead. Whether he is in front of the camera or behind it, his presence in the film world feels necessary, not just as a talent, but as a voice for compassion, realism, and unvarnished truth. In an era often dominated by spectacle and superficial narratives, Dickinson's approach is refreshingly human. He offers no easy answers, no tidy resolutions, just stories, honest, complicated, and alive. From Leytonstone to Cannes, from dropping out of school to directing a festival-acclaimed feature, Harris Dickinson's story is not just about artistic evolution. It is about paying attention to people, to places, to pain, and in doing so, telling stories that actually matter. For more videos like these, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Radio 1 International.
94.3 Radio 1.